Next week, Lesotho will be heading to the polls. Early voters include the security sector, the foreign embassies, and journalists have begun casting their ballots in the National Assembly elections. Whilst there were some delays in opening some voting stations, the Electoral Commission says that these problems were quickly attended to.
Once again, the Mantaviseng Convention Centre will be a dedicated IEC centre for this year's 2022 national elections. Just under 700 early voters were expected in this particular polling station, and while there were minor challenges, the process has been smooth.
Some of the challenges that we faced today is that we opened our station late after the expected time. It was because we had some of the things that have not been well organized by my office.
For many Basotho who will be casting their ballots in this coming week, the proof of identity remains important, but the Commission is stretching its hand to those who may be having challenges.
The documents that we are using here, we are using the national ID, the voter's card, or the license. Anything that to make that person to be identifiable. And if they don't have any of the list that I've said, they can. We have the official witness in our station. Then we can inquire from the official witness whether the person is the one that is claiming to be.
Various observer mission teams from SADC and beyond have already arrived in the country to witness this year's elections. And as most parties will be holding their final rallies this weekend, it looks like it's all systems go for the October 7th polls. Rapelang Khatebe, SABC News, Lesotho.
Well, for a little bit more on Lesotho's early votes and upcoming election, we're now joined via Zoom by SABC correspondent Rapelang Khatebe. Rapelang, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Always good to see you. So is there quite a lot of anticipation now in the air? The voting process has well and truly begun.
Yes, the mood is electric. You can feel it in the streets. Tomorrow starts the star rallies, the finishing rallies, most political parties. And I think they've been strategic at this time to try and spread them. Otherwise, they tend to squeeze us as journalists. We hop from a rally to rally, not knowing exactly how long to stay in a particular rally. But yeah, the billboards are all over the place, the mood, the party regalia, the debates. I think we can safely say the election has truly begun.
All right, so, I mean, one doesn't have an indication of which way the election will go, but in terms of the process itself, do we have an idea of whether it's going to run smoothly based on these early votes and perhaps some of the hiccups that you might have encountered?
Well, I think so far, so good. IEC has often said it has been short on funds, but through all the troubles and stuff, they've tried to steer the boat to the right direction. And until so far, we have really not heard of any substantial material that could lead to indicating as to whether there could be problems or challenges. I spoke to the IEC public relations this afternoon. He seemed calm and normal. So we are hoping that really the challenges that they witnessed this morning when they did the early voters were purely aesthetic, nothing really out of ordinary. I think the common challenges that one encounters when they start the initial process of the early voters, some challenges here and there will be there, but the real test will be the 7th of October coming. Lesotho is a mountainous place, and sometimes the polling stations can be so remote that they require the helicopters and stuff to reach those areas. But really, we haven't got any symptoms of potential threat.
Have you had a sense in terms of what might be the voter turnout? Is there a lot of interest in voting this time around?
Um, the voter turnout, there is serious voter apathy that has been taking place in the past two elections. But one would say the introduction of Lesotho, you'll know, has up to 52 parties, I think, that will be vying for this particular elections. But we have seen a breath of fresh air, I think, with the newer political parties that were wooing young people. We've been told that over 100,000 new voters, I think, were registered. Whether that will translate into actual votes in various parties, that remains to be seen. But there is that voter apathy. People say, when the ABC came into power, it came with hype. People were willing to make that change, they said. But many of them said they are very disappointed. But there are newer parties that looks like they are really targeting the younger people and the first-time voters. Most of them, when you talk to them, they say they are really looking forward to go and do their mark.
I suppose people are wanting a better future, more opportunities. Have you been able to gauge what people are going to be voting for, if not who?
You are right. Even this afternoon, very late this afternoon, one of our sister channel, SABC, held a debate at Lady Brand, just at the border to Lesotho, and called some of these parties to actually lay their mandate forward. I think for the first time, you are really hearing issues more than when people just used to follow parties. They are very robust in asking questions, saying, you guys have promised us. None of you have actually say this is what we have delivered. Actually, we are still going deeper and deeper into debt, and we are not seeing a solution. But I think Lesotho's politics took a slightly different turn when we saw, let's say, the introduction of the new party, which attracted a lot of business people that had been funders to some of these parties, saying they want to take it head on. They want to be leading the change they say they want to do. So I think that is a slight twist that one wants to see how it's going to pan out. But the strength of the older parties, your Democratic Congress, your ABC, have been very resilient. Their campaigns they've left nothing to chance. They have gone all out to try and woo. And you can see the crowds that follow them. So you can't really say it's a clear one. It's not clear cut as yet. But issues have really taken substance. People saying, what exactly are you going to do to turn around the economy that keeps dipping? What are you going to do with the future, the unemployment of young people who often, even sometimes out of frustration, tend to leave the country? What exactly are you going to address these deep and embedded issues?
So post Tom Tabane, there was this idea that a new era of politics had descended upon Lesotho, even if perhaps some of the parties had been familiar. So this is going to be another opportunity. Do you think that there's going to be a realignment and reconstruction of the way Parliament looks after this election, or are we going to see more continuity?
Boy. We were discussing that. We just can't wait to see the construction of the new party. If you see the voices that are coming up, the young people, the women leading certain particular political parties, we are looking at that parliament and say it is going to be a concoction of such vibrant exchange of ideas that we want to see. There are personalities that we really want to see them in action when they're in that particular parliament. And everybody, I think, is enthusiastic to see the energy that will be in that particular parliament. And I think there will be, I'm anticipating that a lot of old faces that we have known will likely disappear, and we are going to see a lot of fresh, young, wet behind ears in that parliament. And I think it's going to be one of the most vibrant. How that will turn out, because, coalitions are almost unavoidable when it comes to Lesotho elections since 2012. And I think that is where it's going to be the center of who will ascend to the ultimate seat of the prime minister and what will be the constitution of that coalition. But most interestingly, can that coalition hold? Others are saying they give it up to 6 months. There's a chance that we'll have a shift of alignments, but others are hoping that maybe people will have cool heads and actually sit down and see things together and try to develop the country and have a coalition maybe that can hold at least for the term of 5 years that is coming.
All right. I mean, it's a difficult one, lots of speculation, but is there 52 parties for such a small country? Some people might find that remarkable, but are there any front runners that look like it's a race between 2-3 people?
Look, without a doubt, it looks like a three-way racehorse. If you look at the Democratic Congress, that has been very stable and has been very consistent with a lot of stability internally. If you look at ABC, that was the front runner in the previous elections. Yes, it has suffered major splits, but it looks like the center is still holding. And if you follow their rallies and you follow their leaders, very passionate. But then there's a new kid on the block, the RFP, which is talking economics, economy. They want transformation, and they have quite a hefty purse, good financial structures. Just joined a lot of young people coming into power, and we are saying maybe they might be the kingmakers, but you cannot ignore the likes of your MEC, the likes of BAP with Professor Nkosi Mahao. If you listen to the quality of the debates that they present, you can see that they will have a big voice. They will have a lot of influence when it comes to who forms that particular coalition. So yes, we are looking at a three-way horse, but there will be a lot of other individuals and personalities that will have a great influence as to how the center will shift.
Ntate Rapelang, thank you so much, Ke a leboga. You must relax because I've got a feeling you're going to be very busy in the next coming days. So get your guitar and relax for tonight.
I wish I could. I need to have an early night. Tomorrow we are on it. It's one of those first rallies, and we are looking forward to it.
Great. Thanks, my brother. All right, that's our correspondent in Lesotho, Rapelang Khadebe, talking to us about the elections. They've started now with the early voters, but the 7th will see the country descend on the polls. One hopes in their numbers, and one hopes that young people will show up and exercise their democratic right.